Hey everyone, how you doing? It's me, Parth, back at it again on the weekly analysis for Forex and some commodities and a brief equity overview for the trend. And yeah, so this week I picked out the pairs that I want to go over and the pairs that I want to focus on. And we're just going to go ahead and get right into it. So starting off with the DXY, it's still, if we're going to start off on the weekly chart, it's still, printed a lower close on the from the start of the week, so still in the bearish trend, but we had a small retracement as we entered this support range, that we previously retested and broke out of. So what we're looking at right now in DXY is it may retrace a little bit more and into this little range that we have right here where we had this gap from, and we have this other gap right there. Maybe it'll revisit this area and retest this area a little bit deeper, and from there I mean, this is still technically bearish from this whole distribution, so I would be expecting it to go lower, and eventually I would be targeting a retest of down into here in this box, somewhere down in there, but we are coming in on some support and resistance, and we are seeing a bounce out of there. So right now we're just waiting and seeing where we sort of top out, and that's where we'll be watching the price action. But going on to more specific pair, Euro USD. So we were in the buys on Euro USD. We did make about 150 pips from our entry right here at like 1.39ish, 1.14, and we are retracing back into the previous range. And if I know anything about support and resistance, the same range that I was talking about in the DXY is kind of like right here. So what we'll be doing is we'll be retesting this breakout right here. Let me get retesting this breakout right here, and from there maybe we can try for some good risk to reward buys. So in addition to that, or going off of that, Euro CHF also looks like pretty decent setup, so it goes hand in hand with the Euro USD. Why? Because this also had a nice breakout of this little bearish trend right here, and we broke out, and now we're coming in to retest this range, and that would be kind of actually exactly, it'd be like right over here. If you can see this breakout right there, if we come into there and we start bouncing off this price range right here, then we could see further continuation of this upswing. So that's what I'm looking at on Euro USD and Euro CHF, and then USD CAD. I'm expecting USD. I would love USD CAD to retrace further so I can enter more shorts, but it is still in a bearish trend, and I'm targeting 1.30, but we'll see if we get that. I would definitely not short at the bottom end of the range. I would like it to retrace at least up to 1.35, but that's a really big ask. It may not even go that far. It could just go up to 1.336-ish and then fall from there. And I'm just looking for a retracement and a setup to get into USD CAD, and I'm still going to be trying to get into positioning myself in dollar shorts as long as the dollar does not break out of this bearish trend. And that's all I have for the DXY. But now we're going to go and take a look at GBP and some other cross pairs. Alright, so here's what we got on GBP USD. Just a quick look at what we have in terms of news this week. We have the Parliament and Brexit vote coming up on Tuesday, so that's going to be a really big news event on the GBP pairs, and be ready for large moves and large amounts of volatility on that day. But having a look at GBP USD, ever since we had that major pin bar, we've been just rocketing up, and we did have this very large volume coming in, and from there we have broken out of that range. So therefore I'm going to be expecting this to continue to rise higher as long as it can break above this 1.293 area. That's going to be the first area where I'm going to be expecting some sort of hardships for it to have. But from there, if it breaks out of there, then I can totally see this going all the way up to 1.32, and but that would be, if it does go up to 1.32, then that would kind of mean that short-term trend has changed. So if it goes up to there, I would expect it to rise even further. I know this is very, very out there, but if it goes up to here and, you know, does some breakout and then goes up to here and retraces a little bit and ends up breaking out here, I would expect it to go to 1.37. And this is like a very long-term swing I would have set up, but that is there due to the volume that we got on the pin bar. Not on the pin bar, but prior to the pin bar, and we have broken out of that range. So what I'm expecting is continuation of that trend, and if it does break out of this little box I have here, that would be my first target, and then from there we'll see a trade setup, and then we can target further highs. But continuing on with GBP, if we look at Gbp Chf, what I see in Gbp Chf is, let me show you actually. So first of all, we're in this channel, and it's been this is just a regression trend of this downward trend that we've been in, and we are holding the midline right now, but we have had like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave count already. So if you just look at that and count that out, it does make sense for GBP to have a relief rally from that point. And if you draw this simple, let me get rid of that simple trend line that we have here, we did break out of that trend line, and we did retouch that trend line with that pin bar, and we did have heavy volume, and from that range we have broken out. So on Gbp Chf, I would be buying on the dips, and I would be targeting right there, my first target, and then if we break out of there, obviously the top of the channel would be somewhere where I'd see this having some sort of difficulties, and then from there maybe a little retracement. It could go all the way back down to the bottom of the channel, but I think that's kind of unlikely. I think that we will have some sort of action here and break out even continuously higher to 1.31, and there are these clean highs here which we haven't touched in a minute, so I do expect it to come into this confluence range if we do end up taking the upwards route. So that's what I see on Gbp Chf. Once we get up there, I think we'll have a nice short setup, long-term short setup on GBP and continuation of the trend. But what I'm seeing here, I'm just going to be following the channel. I'm going to be taking to the top of the channel. If we break out of the channel, I'll play that. But if we, you know, hold that channel and we fail to break out of this support and resistance, and then I'll be targeting more lows. So simple as that. Continuing on, GBP NZD. This pair interested me on the weekly time frame. I am looking for GBP to have some sort of bullish movements, but on the weekly time frame, this does look like it's going to make more lows, and if the bear scenario does play out, then I'm expecting this to dip down in the beginning of this week, and if it goes down to about, let me go on a smaller time frame so you can see what we're talking about here. So right now we had this like inverted head and shoulders pattern, and we are retesting the support and resistance range, and we did hold off of it. So as long as that holds, I'll remain neutral on this. I won't be selling this. I may go into a buy position based off of that. So if that holds, what I'll be looking at is kind of like an inverted head and shoulders pattern setup, and could look something like this. So what I'll be waiting for is just draw this little trend line down going this way. So I'd wait for it to go back up onto this trend line and back into the support resistance right there. And if it does decide to hold there, you know, it could come back right back down and make more lows. Or if we break out, then I'd be targeting more highs. So that's currently what I'm looking at in GBP NZD. Nice little trade setup there. Going to be monitoring that. I do think that it could break out to the upside with the rest of the GBP pairs. And adding on to GBP, here we have Euro GBP, and on the weekly, this is just a mess. We had multiple rejection of this 1.91 or 0.91 range price point actually, and ever since that, you know, it's kind of like a double top pattern there, and I believe we are going to head to 0.882. That looks like the next target. This distribution range will play out, and I believe we're headed to retest this little order block right there, that area, I do expect further bearish movements on this as we have this large volume there. I would expect it to go down to that price point, and then from there, if we, still continue the bearish trend, I do expect some sort of small short-term bounce off of there. But if it does not fail to make more highs, if it just continues lower and lower, ultimately, if it breaks out of this range, if it breaks out of this price point right here that we've been holding a few times, then I would be targeting down here, so 0.84. So we could have some long-term swing setups on this pair if we were to retest this retesting point from the breakout. Then that would be my ultimate target. So what I'm looking at is I'm just looking at the first wave continuation of sell, and be positioning myself in that way. Just make sure you use proper risk management, and just a reminder that this is not financial advice. I'm just a guy giving my opinion on the financial markets. Do not take it all in without doing your own due diligence, and always use risk management, and those are the keys for long-term success. So that's what I have for Euro GBP. Let's see what else we have. So quick look at Euro Aussie dollar. This does look, so in relation to Euro CHF and Euro USD, this ultimately does have it is pretty bullish right now, but it's having a hard time breaking out of that 1.62 price range, and kind of looks like, the last month's candle was a very large green candle, so I am expecting this bullish momentum kind of to run. So what I would be doing is I would be looking at some Fibonacci retracements from that level, and just look into this consolidation, right? So we have this little box right there, and we have this little area up here. So I'm going to see just how Euro AUD sets up here. I'm not going to be quick to do anything, quick to pull the trigger. I'm just going to be waiting to see how it sets up, because on the weekly time frame it is very bearish. So and it's continuously showing more bearish candles. So on the weekly or on the hourly time frame, intraday, if you do see a short setup on this, if we do rise up to this area and reject that area a few times, then I would be taking, it would be fair to take that trade and target these lows. Remember to use this previous support and resistance range as a pivot point. So right now we're in a range bound movement, right? So everything is just going to be stair stepping in the market. That's just simply how the market works. So we have that support which breaks, becomes resistance, and now this breaks and it's going to become resistance eventually, right? So when price does retrace back into this area, look for it to look for signs of weak price action, and if that does show up, then execute properly. So that's what I have on Euro AUD. Let's check out WTI USD. So ever since we were in this little price point, I was signaling breakout of oil to people who follow me, who saw my analysis on oil, and ever since then, we did have a very nice run up of about let's see, about 300-ish, or no, 500 pips actually, sorry, about 500 pips. So that's a substantial move on oil. Oil really is a great asset to trade in terms of catching pips. So basically what do I have here? Let me just get rid of that. So this first linear regression, it's just a regression trend, just averages out the channel and makes it nice, and it makes sense. So I don't want to connect random lows. I want to be having the actual average. So that's why I use this tool now. And we did have a clear breakout of here, nice candle, and further breakout of this black trend line. This is this is what you'd have traditionally, right? So what I did is simply made the regression trend, and that was a little bit more accurate, as you can see here when we had that initial breakout. This is just that second breakout and continuation of the move. So what we want to do is we want to catch the meat of the move and like at the best risk to reward. So when we are breaking out, that's the best time to get in. So on oil, adding that same principle, here's the current channel we're in, and I am expecting oil to, this is obviously right, so oil broke out, so I want it to come back in and retest this breakout, and that's where we'll get the best risk to reward ratio. So that would mean this channel right here, if it does continue to hold, if it does hold from down here, I would expect this support and resistance at 54.62 to hold, because that was a pretty big range here. That was pretty, you know, you can see price stuck there many times, so it's an important price point. So if this channel holds and we go up to there, I would try to attempt at some shorts. So if I extend this channel real quick, so if we hold this and rise up to about there, I would try shorts there, just because of the setup that I have here. It's just a part of my system. And you know, something like stop loss would be like up about there, and then my target would be down over here back into the retest. So first I would target this zone, and then from there I would be targeting a little deeper retest, so like maybe back into the 46, maybe, yeah, I think 46 is that's as deep as it'll go. But even there, that's kind of, I doubt that it'll get all the way that deep, because I do think oil is on a mission to go a little higher. And but I will position myself in shorts there and target my target down there, and check out how it acts on the retest, and how deep it retests, and go from there. So that's my approach on oil. And let's see if I have anything else major that I want to go over. So yeah, and adding on to that Euro AUD trade, just a reminder of what we went over. So we're still trying to short Euro AUD, but that's to get a better buy opportunity at these fib levels, and play in line with the trend and play the trend continuation further. So AUD CHF is right here, and if you see AUD CHF, it's clearly in a very bearish trend. Like, this is the monthly chart right here, and this thing has just been getting wrecked over and over again. And right here, you know, we had the support and resistance range right there, and we held off of it, and we're going down. You know, here's a long-term trend line on it. So on this, what we're looking at is further continuation of the downside. It's simply just making a retracement move, and what we want it to do, or what we, you know, predict it to do, is 1 second, let me check how that looks. Okay, so it's currently in the midline of the of this whole channel, so it could go to the top of this channel again and hold, go a little higher and reject from there and continue down. Basically, I'm just waiting for this to show signs of bearish price action, so in terms of daily candles, and rejection of the support and resistance at like 1.7172. So I'm going to see how that works out there, and if that holds, then I would be targeting, I would take a shot at targeting 0.70 again. So in this one too, we did have this really large pin bar with some volume, so it's kind of like one of those where just take it slow. So I'm not really a big fan of trading this pair. It's really slow, and I'd rather trade Euro AUD because I see a better picture in it. But same thing here. It's just like throw your fibs on and go from there. So let me turn my numbers on for my fibs so you guys can see. Yeah, so the green lines are the 50% and the 62.5%, and then the red lines at 86%. So we are at the 61.8, if you want to call it whatever, retracement level. So if we do retrace from here, I mean, that does make sense, but I would like it for it to go a little deeper and get into that meat a little more, you know, and rack up more sales from there. So that's what I have on that. Yeah, and lastly, oh wait, I still have a few more things I want to go over. Let's do gold first. So gold is entering on the support and resistance right here. Did have large volume coming in on the breakout, but it was around 1.1278, so we are not too far off of there. And gold is coming on this retest of this previous range, which it broke out from, broke down from, sorry. And if you look at the daily, it is looking like it's, you know, slowing down here. And on the weekly time frame, if you look at these two candles, if you look at last week's high, it was higher than this week's high, so you see a little like a fractal being created on the weekly time frame, but the weekly close was still higher than the weekly open, so indicating, you know, as you see, it's a green candle here. So the trend is still kind of up, but it is showing signs of, you know, breaking down. So on gold, really, I'm just gonna be sidelines and just watching how it works in terms of this range. So let me show you what I mean by that. So what I mean by that is we have had here, let me so there's a little regression channel of this very most previous trend. Let me make it a little nice on your eyes. Okay, so here we did break down of that, or not really quite break down, but we broke to the bottom section of that, and we are looking like it does look like it's going to fall from there and go lower. So what I would be doing is I would be watching how price reacts there. If it just dips down there, you know, it is decent risk to rewards off this pivot point up top here. So that's my pivot point, is this like 1300, and what I'll be targeting is kind of like a retouch back into this breakout that we had over here, like kind of in like the 1270 to like 1260 range. If we do have a breakdown of gold like that, that's my plan on that. So yeah, there's that. And let's see, USD JPY. So USD JPY, it is in on some very, you know, significant support and resistance here at this 108 level, and we had that weekly pin bar plus that weekly you know, doji candle, which means indecision. So we could see a trend change, and going off of that, if I just have this trend line right here, clearly connecting these three highs, we did break out of that trend line. We respected, and we finally broke out. So if we do come back in and dip down into that trend line again, and you know, you see some sort of price action that you like there, then that could be worth a shot to target these highs up here. So from here, I think USD JPY is going to be a little bit of range bound. So this is what the range looks like to me, or this is what it is right now. So from here, if it chooses to go a little lower, dip down in this range, and you know, refuel again down into here, and then make a plug higher, then I'm totally fine with that. Here's a more precise, yeah, there's a more precise trend line. So if it dips down into here and holds that 107.7, 107.5-ish area again, then it could be worth a shot to go to target longs on USD JPY. If you look at the stock market, the S&P 500, what we're seeing here is we're seeing pretty, you know, 3 weeks of rapid rise and pretty substantial volume coming in on these bottoms, and on the bottom of this range where we broke out of. So on this long term, what is my plan? Well, my plan is, see, if you see the large volume coming in here, it came on this week right here. Let me highlight it for you real quick. This green candle week right there, right? So if we look at the bottom of that candle and we just plot that out real quick, so if the market does come down in and retrace back to this level, I would be considering trying long positions if the price action permits, and you know, it looks good there. And from there, I would be kind of seeing how it comes. If it comes back into 2600 with some power, then that's great, you know. But ideally I would like it to continue to rally, like not kind of nonstop, follow this momentum higher from this, you know, very large railroad candle track. You know, we had the very large suck up of this volume, and it's, you know, when you have a really large move like that with momentum, it usually continues. So on the retracements, it's very good risk reward to continue, follow continuation on that trend, right? So what I would like to see is, yes, check it out. Check out how 5-2 or 252.8-ish works out, and if that you know, price point seems to hold, then what I do see on the market here are these very clean highs. So at 2800, I see, you know, a lot of liquidity going on there. So if the news does permit, so we have Brexit stuff, and then we have G20 meetings this week. So if we do see some US-China news or something, whatever the case may be, you know, I'm not speculating on that. I'm just looking at the chart and see what it tells me, and, you know, where I see the good risk reward. So from there, I think it'd be a decent enough try to go and see if we go for that 2800. So the risk reward stand basis, or on a risk reward basis, you know, I think it looks fine. So that's what I have for this week's video analysis. If you guys have any questions or anything like that, feel free to reach out to me or leave a comment in the comment section below, or just reach out to me on TradingView. My name is Forex Monkey 1, and I do post charts here, but not really often. I really don't have time for that anymore. But that's where we're at right now. This is week of January 13th, and I wish y'all a very good week, and I will be posting updates in my chat room, and to my peeps, to my students, and yeah, good luck everyone, and have a good week. Stay safe.